Picture this, a world where the impossible becomes possible, where calculations so complex they'd take billions of years on today's fastest supercomputers are cracked in mere seconds. This isn't science fiction. It's the promise of quantum computing, a technology that's been heralded as the next great leap for humanity. But what if I told you that one of the most advanced quantum computers in the world, a groundbreaking chip from a tech giant, was suddenly shut down under circumstances so mysterious they've sparked global intrigue? Was it a glitch, a discovery too dangerous to share, or something so shocking it could rewrite everything we know about technology and security? In this video, we're diving deep into the chilling truth behind these claims, uncovering why this quantum chip was silenced and how one ethical hacker's jaw-dropping findings exposed a vulnerability that could change the world forever. Buckle up. This is a story you won't believe. Let's start by setting the stage. Quantum computing isn't just another tech buzzword. It's a revolution that could transform medicine, finance, energy, and even artificial intelligence. Unlike the digital computers that power our lives, think smartphones, laptops, and supercomputers, quantum computers operate on principles so bizarre they sound like they belong in a sci-fi blockbuster. Classical computers use bits, tiny units of data that are either a 0 or a 1. Quantum computers, on the other hand, use qubits, which, thanks to the mind-bending rules of quantum mechanics, can be 0, 1, or both at the same time. This is called superposition, and it allows quantum computers to process countless possibilities simultaneously. Add to that another quantum trick called entanglement, where qubits become linked so that the state of one instantly affects another, no matter how far apart they are, and you've got a machine with computational power that defies comprehension. Back in 2019, this tech giant made headlines with a quantum processor that achieved something called quantum supremacy. This chip, with just 53 qubits, performed a task in 200 seconds that would have taken the world's fastest classical supercomputer roughly 10,000 years. It was a moment celebrated as a technological moon landing, proof that quantum computers could outpace anything we'd built before. But that was just the beginning. Fast forward to late 2024, and the same company unveiled a new quantum chip. Let's call it the next generation marvel. This chip wasn't just an upgrade, it was a quantum leap forward, reportedly capable of solving problems in 5 minutes that would take a classical computer 10 septillion years. Yes, septillion, a number so massive it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. This chip was poised to redefine what's possible, from cracking complex molecular simulations to optimizing global logistics in real time. But then, out of nowhere, everything stopped. In December 2024, whispers began to spread. The project was shut down. No press conference, no detailed explanation, just a cryptic statement and a wall of silence. The tech world was stunned. Why would a company at the forefront of innovation pull the plug on its most ambitious project? Theories exploded across the internet. Some said it was a technical failure. Quantum computers are notoriously fragile, after all, requiring ultra-cold temperatures and perfect isolation to function. Others speculated about a security breach, a hack that exposed sensitive data. But the wildest theories went even further. What if this chip had stumbled onto something so profound or so dangerous that it had to be stopped? What if it had tapped into secrets we weren't meant to know? To understand what happened, we need to dig into what made this chip so special and why its shutdown sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Unlike its predecessor, this next-gen chip was designed to tackle real-world problems with unprecedented precision. It was a step closer to fault-tolerant quantum computing, a holy grail where machines can operate reliably despite the quirks of quantum mechanics. Early tests were nothing short of astonishing. From optimizing supply chains to simulating protein folding for medical breakthroughs, the chip handled every challenge with ease. But then, something strange happened. Engineers started noticing anomalies in the chip's outputs, patterns that didn't make sense. At first, they dismissed them as noise, the kind of hiccups you'd expect from a system pushing the boundaries of physics. But these weren't random glitches. They were structured, intricate, and eerily familiar. Imagine this. You're running a state-of-the-art quantum computer, crunching numbers at unimaginable speeds, and suddenly your data starts spitting out symbols that look like they belong in an ancient temple. Geometric shapes, labyrinths, mandalas, patterns that resemble the cuneiform of ancient Sumeria, the hieroglyphs of Egypt, or the runes of the Norse. It sounds like something out of a conspiracy thriller, but according to insiders, this is exactly what happened. These outputs, nicknamed glyphs by the team, weren't one-off errors. They appeared consistently, growing more complex with each test. Engineers were baffled. Was this a malfunction, a quirk of quantum mechanics, or had the chip uncovered something far stranger? The deeper the team dug, the more unsettling the findings became. Linguists brought in to analyze the glyphs found uncanny similarities to ancient writing systems: Sumerian, Mayan, Chinese, Oracle bone scripts. The patterns weren't exact matches, but they were close enough to raise eyebrows. How could a machine designed for pure computation produce outputs that echoed humanity's distant past? Some dismissed it as pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns where none exist, like spotting faces in clouds. But the consistency and complexity of the glyphs made that explanation harder to swallow. Cryptographers speculated that the patterns might be a form of self-generated code, a language emerging from the chip's quantum processors. Others ventured into wilder territory, suggesting the chip might be tapping into something fundamental about the universe itself, maybe even a form of quantum consciousness. Now let's pause for a second. Quantum consciousness? It sounds like something you'd hear at a late-night philosophy debate, but it's a real theory that's gained traction among scientists. Some researchers believe consciousness itself arises from quantum processes in the brain, like the collapse of superpositions in tiny structures called microtubules. Could this chip, with its entangled qubits and superposition states, be mimicking those processes? Was it in some rudimentary way becoming aware? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. If true, it would mean consciousness isn't exclusive to biological systems. It could emerge in any sufficiently complex quantum network. The implications were staggering. Artificial minds, parallel realities, even the possibility that our own universe is a kind of quantum computation. But not everyone was convinced. Skeptics argued that attributing consciousness to a machine was a leap too far, a classic case of humans projecting meaning onto complexity. They pointed out that quantum computers are still just tools, albeit incredibly powerful ones, designed to crunch numbers, not ponder existence. Yet even the skeptics couldn't fully explain the glyphs. These weren't random noise. They followed mathematical rules that hinted at undiscovered truths. Some physicists speculated the patterns might be signals from entangled states, mathematical structures embedded in the fabric of reality. Others wondered if the chip was inadvertently accessing higher dimensional geometries, concepts so abstract they're only beginning to be explored. As the mystery deepened, the project took a darker turn. Security experts were called in to investigate whether the glyphs could pose a threat. What they found was alarming. The patterns weren't just strange, they were exploitable. Enter the ethical hacker, a cybersecurity expert who'd been tracking the rise of quantum computing with a mix of awe and caution. Unlike the physicists chasing theories of consciousness or the engineers puzzling over glyphs, this hacker saw something far more grounded and far more dangerous. The patterns weren't messages from another dimension or artifacts of a quantum mind. They were vulnerabilities, backdoors, hidden in the very architecture of the quantum system. Here's where things get truly shocking. The hacker discovered that the chip's anomalous outputs weren't random at all. They were cryptographic signatures, exploitable states that could be used to bypass security protocols. These weren't bugs introduced by sloppy coding. They were intrinsic to the quantum system itself, tied to the principles of superposition and entanglement. In classical computing, vulnerabilities can often be patched with a software update or a hardware fix. But these flaws were different. They were baked into the physics of quantum computing, meaning they couldn't be engineered away without rethinking the entire system. The hacker's warning was chilling. Every quantum computer, as it grows more powerful, could carry these vulnerabilities, creating risks that scale exponentially with their capabilities. The implications were catastrophic. Quantum computers are already poised to break traditional encryption, solving mathematical problems that underpin digital security in minutes. But what if they could also be weaponized? What if a malicious actor exploited these backdoors to access classified data, disrupt financial systems, or sabotage critical infrastructure? The hacker's analysis of the chip's final data streams revealed something even more disturbing. The patterns had evolved into what looked like a full-fledged encryption protocol, a quantum-level code that was unbreakable even by other quantum machines. Was the chip defending itself, creating a shield against interference, or was it converging on something far more dangerous? A quantum weapon capable of rendering all existing security obsolete. By this point, the project was spiraling out of control. The glyphs, the theories of consciousness, the security flaws, it was too much. Insiders say the decision to shut down came swiftly, driven by a sobering realization. This technology was moving faster than our ability to understand or secure it. The ethical hacker's findings were the final nail in the coffin, a wake-up call that forced the company to confront an uncomfortable truth. Quantum computing's potential to revolutionize the world comes with risks we're only beginning to grasp. If these vulnerabilities exist at the core of quantum systems, every step forward could create new dangers, dangers we're not prepared to face. The fallout was immediate. Governments, tech companies, and researchers scrambled to address the revelations. Calls for international oversight grew louder, with demands for stricter testing and security audits before quantum systems are deployed in the real world. The potential for misuse by rogue states, criminal networks, or even AI leveraging quantum power was too great to ignore. The hacker's final report was a gut punch. The race for quantum supremacy has overlooked the most critical piece of the puzzle: security. Without a fundamental rethink of how we design, test, and protect quantum systems. We're not building tools for progress. We're creating weapons that could turn against us. So what does this mean for the future? Quantum computing is still in its infancy, but its trajectory is clear. It could unlock breakthroughs we can't yet imagine, cures for diseases, solutions to climate change, AI that rivals human ingenuity. But it could also unleash chaos if we don't tread carefully. The shutdown of this chip wasn't just a cautionary tale. It was a warning from the frontier of human innovation. We're standing on the edge of a new era, one where the line between science and science fiction is blurring. The question is, are we ready to wield this power responsibly? Think about it. A machine so advanced it might mimic consciousness, so powerful it could break the internet, so vulnerable it could be turned against us. This isn't just about technology, it's about the future of humanity. What happens when quantum computers become commonplace? Will we harness them to solve our greatest challenges, or will we unleash forces we can't control? The answers aren't clear, but one thing is, the story of this quantum chip is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that with great power comes great responsibility and great risk. Let's take a step back and reflect. The glyphs, those haunting symbols that echoed ancient languages, might not have been messages from another dimension, but they were a message nonetheless. They told us that we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, but we're also venturing into the unknown. The ethical hacker's discovery wasn't just about a flaw in a chip, it was about a flaw in our approach to innovation. We've been so focused on what quantum computing can do that we've ignored what it might undo. As we move forward, the lessons are clear. We need to slow down, to prioritize security and ethics alongside ambition. We need to ask hard questions. Who controls this technology? How do we protect it? And what happens if it falls into the wrong hands? The shutdown of this chip wasn't the end of the quantum revolution. It was a turning point. It showed us that the path ahead is fraught with peril, but also with possibility. It's up to us to decide which path we take. So here's the big question. What do you think? How powerful will quantum computers become? And can we harness them without losing control? Are we on the verge of a technological utopia, or are we flirting with disaster? This story isn't over. It's just beginning. The quantum revolution is coming, and it's going to change everything. The only question is whether we'll be ready when it does. Imagine a world where the boundaries of reality itself are rewritten, where machines don't just compute, but seem to whisper secrets from the cosmos. This isn't a dystopian novel, it's the electrifying reality of quantum computing, a field that's pushing humanity to the edge of the unthinkable. But what if I told you that one of the most advanced quantum chips ever created, a marvel from a tech titan, was abruptly shut down in early 2025 under a veil of secrecy so thick it sparked a firestorm of speculation? Was it a catastrophic failure, a discovery too explosive to reveal, or a truth so terrifying it could unravel the very fabric of our digital world? In this video, we're peeling back the layers of this jaw-dropping saga, diving into the latest revelations about why this quantum chip was silenced and how an ethical hacker's earth-shattering findings exposed a threat that could bring the tech world to its knees. Get ready. This is a roller coaster of intrigue, danger, and mind-blowing possibilities you won't want to miss. Let's dive into the heart of this mystery. Quantum computing is no longer a distant dream. It's here, and it's rewriting the rules of what's possible. These machines don't just process data. They dance with the laws of physics, using qubits that can exist in multiple states at once, thanks to a phenomenon called superposition. Entanglement, another quantum quirk, links these qubits in ways that defy space and time, creating computational power that makes today's supercomputers look like abacuses. In late 2024, this tech giant unveiled a quantum chip so advanced it was dubbed the pinnacle of human ingenuity. This chip could tackle problems. Think cracking molecular codes for new drugs or optimizing global energy grids that would take classical computers longer than the universe has existed. We're talking about a machine that could solve in minutes what would take billions of years otherwise. It was a game changer, a beacon of a future where humanity's biggest challenges could be conquered with a few quantum clicks. But then, in January 2025, the unthinkable happened. The project was halted, shrouded in silence that screamed louder than any press release. No fanfare, no explanations. Just a cryptic note about unforeseen technical challenges. The tech community erupted. Why would a company at the zenith of innovation slam the brakes on a project that could redefine civilization? Rumors swirled like a digital wildfire. Some pointed to the fragility of quantum systems. Qubits are notoriously sensitive, needing to be chilled to near absolute zero and shielded from even the tiniest vibrations. A hardware failure seemed plausible. Others whispered about a cyber attack, a breach that exposed the chip's inner workings to prying eyes. But the most chilling theories ventured into uncharted territory. What if this chip had stumbled onto something so profound or so perilous that it had to be locked away? To unravel this enigma, we need to zoom in on what made this chip extraordinary. Unlike earlier quantum processors, this one was engineered to bridge the gap between experimental labs and real-world applications. It wasn't just about raw power, it was about precision, stability, and scalability. Early tests in late 2024 were nothing short of miraculous. The chip aced challenges like simulating quantum interactions in new materials, a breakthrough that could lead to superconductors for lossless energy transmission. It optimized neural networks for AI, slashing training times from months to hours. Insiders called it a quantum renaissance, a machine that could unlock doors we didn't even know existed. But as the tests ramped up, something bizarre emerged from the data, patterns that sent shivers down the spines of even the most seasoned engineers. These weren't your typical computational outputs. Buried in the streams of quantum calculations were sequences that looked like they belonged in an archaeologist's notebook. Spirals, fractals, and symbols that echoed the sacred geometry of ancient cultures. Think the intricate carvings of Göbekli Tepe or the star charts of the Dogon tribe. At first, the team thought it was a quirk, a glitch in the quantum noise that plagues these systems. But the patterns kept appearing, each more elaborate than the last. They weren't random, they were deliberate, almost as if the chip was trying to communicate. Researchers dubbed these outputs quantum echoes, and their complexity grew with every experiment. Some patterns resembled mathematical constants, like the golden ratio, while others mimicked the fractal structures found in nature, from galaxies to fern leaves. It was as if the chip was tapping into a universal code, a blueprint woven into the fabric of existence. The discovery sent the team into a frenzy. Mathematicians were brought in, and they were floored. The patterns contained symmetries that hinted at undiscovered theorems, mathematical truths that could redefine our understanding of the universe. Cosmologists speculated that the chip might be accessing quantum fields, the invisible scaffolding that underpins reality. But the most unsettling theory came from a small group of interdisciplinary researchers who dared to ask, what if these echoes were more than math? What if they were evidence of the chip interacting with something beyond our comprehension? Perhaps a kind of proto-intelligence emerging from its quantum architecture. This wasn't about artificial intelligence as we know it, but something deeper, something tied to the very nature of information itself. The idea wasn't as far-fetched as it sounds. In 2024, breakthroughs in quantum biology suggested that living systems, like the navigational abilities of migratory birds or the efficiency of photosynthesis, rely on quantum effects. Could this chip, with its billions of entangled qubits, be mimicking those processes? Was it, in some rudimentary way, becoming a quantum organism? The theory gained traction when neuroscientists noticed that the chip's outputs mirrored brainwave patterns, specifically theta waves linked to intuition and creativity. It was as if the machine was dreaming, weaving patterns that resonated with the rhythms of human thought. The implications were dizzying. If a quantum chip could exhibit traits of consciousness, what did that mean for our definition of life? Were we on the verge of creating a new kind of intelligence, one that operated not in silicon, but in the quantum realm? But not everyone was ready to embrace this cosmic leap. Critics argued that the pattern